Today, it's my privilege to talk to Donna Stevens, photographic artist, but I think the best person to introduce her will be herself. So Donna, please tell us who you are and where you're from and what you're doing.
Hello, Hans. Thank you for inviting me for this interview. I am a photographer based in Switzerland right now. Although in terms of my origins, I was born in Poland, in the mountains, in the south of Poland. And I moved to the UK, where I worked for many years in the art world. I guess, so I have been surrounded by the creative people and the creative industry. There came a point in my life where it wasn't enough and I didn't feel fulfilled in London. I felt I had to make a change. I needed to do something. And because mountains were always part of me, and I liked the outdoors, I decided to find a job, something in the mountains. That's how I ended up in Zermatt.
Okay.
So originally I went to Zermatt for 6 months, and it's been now 10 years where I am been in Switzerland. And I think it has worked for me because that has given me a chance and time to create and I think do what I've always wanted to do. And I think you are always pulled by your destiny in life.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I kind of settled in a small alpine village of Villars-sur-Olon, Canton Vaud in Switzerland, the French-speaking part of Switzerland, near Lausanne. And I guess that's where I started selling my work. Okay. And it kind of came from there. I have been traveling quite a lot throughout my life. Yeah. And I haven't been in Switzerland in Villa all these 10 years. Yeah. I've been moving around and I've been traveling. But Switzerland has been my base, I would say, for the last 10 years.
Okay. Okay. So what got you into the industry initially? When did you decide and how did you decide to start?
I think I've always been making things and creating things and taking photographs since little. But I do remember when I was working in London in publishing, I ended up meeting Bridget Riley, who's a contemporary artist. And I had to see her because I was reproducing one of her paintings and the artist needed to approve it. And I remember at the time she would have been at least 70. And I remember this young woman opened the door and we started chatting. And actually it was her. I just really didn't realize that, but she had this energy and she had this charisma. And I remember thinking, wow, I want to work in the art world. And I must say, within a week, I found myself a job at the art newspaper in London. So it was. So I think that's how it actually I got working in the art industry. Yes.
Okay, and at that stage, I guess you had a bit of a portfolio that you could present
I haven't been selling at the time at all. I mean, I had my own portfolio and my own photographs.
Yeah, no, I understand.
In my house. Absolutely. But at the art newspaper, I was doing marketing. I was marketing manager.
Oh, okay.
But it gave me opportunity to visit the shows, the art fairs. I have seen an incredible amount of fantastic art with the art newspaper. I traveled to Maastricht, traveled to Basel for the art fair, etc., etc.
That sounds very
Speaking with the galleries, with the little stories, how they found the pieces. It was a good time.
Yeah, yeah. So what would you consider to be a unique feature of your art?
I think that every photograph is super subjective and super unique, because we all look at the world from a subjective point of view.
Yeah.
I believe that I think that a lot of photographers are male. And obviously it's very difficult to talk about my work myself. It's better if someone else, but I do feel that there is there is a different look. Not that there are not female photographers, there are. But I think predominantly what we look around when we see it is male dominated profession, being quite technical, I think.
Yes.
And there's a technical aspect to it. And I don't think they are kind of traditional in terms of design.
Yes.
It's more about, and I do a lot of the photographs are taken outside. I do a lot of hiking, and an element of physicality and certain struggle and discomfort, even to get, I sleep under the stars, and so there are places that maybe not everyone will physically go and see.
I see.
They are off the beaten track.
Yeah.
I mean, I know everyone says it's a bit of a cliche, but I think they are. And I think it's just how I see the world. And as I said, they are unique by the virtue that they are my photographs.
Exactly. That's unique. The way you see the world, it's not the way anyone else sees the world. Hey,
exactly.
And if you can relate that into a photograph, well, that's great. Yeah. So what goes into your creative process? It seems there's a lot of planning that needs to be done. And do you do a lot of research?
I think as every photographer, you just look. We just look. And sometimes look what is around.
Yeah.
And somehow what can be transcribed by a camera. I do like, I am inspired by artists.
Yes.
I look at, go to shows, or have been going to shows. And sometimes I just see it, and obviously because there is an element of travel in my work. So if I have ideas in my head, I do think, where can I go? How can I do it? Yes.
Okay. And so I guess you already mentioned that, but where do you find your inspiration? Is it do you always carry a camera with you so that if the moment is there you can capture it, or is it just do you?
Yes and no. I mean, a lot of my, I use tripod and filters, and there's quite a little of a bulk.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Preparation, but so I know, I look at the weather, check the weather. I have an idea what I'm going to do before I set it off.
Okay.
But it is true that I try and carry my camera as much as I can, and I have my filters and my tripod, because you never know. But I have a fair amount of the images happen before I take them. They are all in my head.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. Yeah.
And then sometimes I see what I had already composed in my head, and I feel, oh, that's it. It's not. It's more proactive rather than reactive in my case.
Okay. And your subject, it's usually nature or anything?
Yes. I mean, I call my photography abstract landscapes. I think that's what excites me. I'm not really into urban architecture, although portraits and people also.
I see. I see.
that would be of interest.
Yeah.
But yes, I think I am wowed over by spaces, even solitude, kind of the wilderness,
Yes.
and the shapes and the colors.
Yeah.
I think that's what excites me.
That's great. And do you afterwards edit a lot to your images to get it exactly in the way that you would like to have it, or is it more natural?
The best photographs almost need no edit.
Yeah.
Obviously, people ask me that a lot. I use a digital camera, but whatever camera you use, you have to somehow take it out of the camera and put it and then print it.
Of course.
So there is an element of digital manipulation in Lightroom and Photoshop. I mainly delete dust marks.
Okay.
And but in terms of altering, not really. It's very little.
So who inspires you to keep on doing what you're doing?
I just think as every artist creates because they have to create, and you know, we all have different talents, and not everyone can be a doctor, lawyer, or a nurse. Some people just create. And I think, and that's what I like doing. I actually like working with my hands.
Yes.
That's it. I think the inspiration comes from within, rather than it's internal motivation instead of external.
Yeah, and that's actually fascinating for me because I am not that artistically inclined, but I really am very interested to know, about art and so on, and how people get to produce what they produce. And that's why maybe one of the reasons why I started this channel. And so I speak to a lot of different artists, and it's everyone has a unique way.
Okay.
Great. It's great. So next question then, is there any specific symbolism in any of your art, or a hidden meaning, or something that you like to capture?
Well, that's interesting because, as I say, when I take photographs, it's because something moves me, something triggers something inside of me. Having said that, once the photograph is produced and reproduced, maybe on a wall, I find it interesting when I hear people's reactions or watch people's reactions, because people often see different things. And the image becomes its own person, as if
I see.
it's
That's
like I have given birth to a child, and then the child becomes the person. And after a while, even I look at it as something new. And it has got its own life, its own energy. And because in the end, as I say, the way we experience work, I think it's subjective. And then people inject meaning into the art, into my photographs. And and sometimes I'm surprised myself, but if they do it, it makes me happy. I'm delighted that it somehow resonated with someone else's soul, and I don't know, and they kind of picked up on that energy and make
I've heard
so they create their own symbolism, I guess.
Yes. I've heard the same thing from other people that I've interviewed, and that's very interesting. And what I also found is that the artists don't always put a specific meaning into the piece of art, but then people see it, but in a different way. But then the artist doesn't tell them, no, but it wasn't meant that way. It's nice that you could accept what people are seeing as well, and that tells me that your art is speaking to the people.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
because
so
it's a
that's great.
dialogue always, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's great. So which piece of art are you the most proud of, and why?
I think it is the Icelandic waterfall that I took. It's this kind of huge waterfall in the north of Iceland, and I remember getting there. I don't know if you've been to Iceland.
Okay.
It's a little bit rustic.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah,
I
I've heard that.
remember driving.
Yeah.
It's like 30 kilometers road, which is not far, but over potholes. And I'm just thinking,
Okay.
oh, I hope I'm going to get there. At the same time, there is this full moon. And I don't know if you spend much time in the outdoors, the full moon in the mountains or somewhere, it's considerably brighter. It's this like pot of gold, literally
Wow.
like hanging over you.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm almost don't know whether I'm looking at the moon or the road or the potholes. And I'm just driving there. And anyway, I arrived at night because I just kind of camped in the town, and I just wake up to this huge noise, and so the waterfall is just there, and I think this is one of the photographs where people see a lot of things has been described as Dantesque, although I don't think it's terrifying. I don't know. It's not a Dante's hell. But it is something that is very powerful. People see images, all sorts of things like animal or something, or some people think it's a cloud.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
So I like that image.
Yeah. And also maybe it was a bit of a unique experience as well to go there and to
Well, the whole Iceland, exactly. I mean, the whole Iceland, it's magical, and the scenery kind of changes all the time, and you literally don't know what to look at.
Sounds very wonderful place to go to for a visit. Not sure if I would like to live there, but yeah. So
I hadn't spent there much time. I mean, I'd be happy to live there, to be honest. But
okay. Isn't it very cold? It looks like almost.
Well, I mean, living in Switzerland is also cold during winters, and then as I say, even in the summer, the temperatures drop overnight, and I spent many very cold nights camping in Switzerland, that's for sure.
Ooh, do you do that in winter time? Oh yes, I guess.
No, not in winter. No. But I mean, in the summer, it's super cold as well.
Even in summer. Okay.
Well, at 2,000 meters, even in August, you might be super hot during the day. You're sweating. You just think it's ridiculously hot. In winter, you're freezing cold.
Okay.
I mean, sorry, at night you're freezing cold. That's what I meant. At night you're freezing cold.
Sure. So, would you have any advice for anyone who desires to follow in your footsteps to make it maybe a little bit easier for them? You know, something that you wouldn't do again if you had the chance.
I just think you have to believe in yourself and do it, and don't take a no. I mean, it's not, or maybe, and also, well, I mean, if you want to do it, you just have to do it.
Yeah.
You do need to be realistic, obviously, in terms of financial rewards, and maybe have ways of supporting yourself whilst you're doing your artistic creations.
Yeah.
But you absolutely have to do it, and do what you think is correct, rather than doing what other people tell you what to do.
Okay.
Because in the end, well, as I say, that's the only thing that will have integrity later on.
Of course, and that is what will make your art unique, that anyone who sees it would immediately know, well, this was most probably taken by Donna Stevens. Yeah. Yeah. So are there any upcoming events for you? What's next?
Well, I am super excited to have an exhibition in September, opens on the 16th of September in Switzerland,
Okay.
in Olon, in Chateau de la Roche. And I'm doing it with another artist, new media artist, my friend Lali. And and for me, it's my first exhibition where I will be able to present my art in large formats. And I think what I create lends itself really well to large formats. It's just normally in a gallery space, it's an issue.
Yeah.
Whereas, well, it's a chateau, it's a small chateau, has got enormous walls.
Yes.
And has got this fantastic, I think, atmosphere. So I'm super excited about it.
Oh, well, that sounds like something to be excited about. Yeah.
Yeah, and the theme of the title, it's Miroir d'eau. So in French, it means, well, it's a kind of a play on words in French, because eau is something amazing in French, like eau, and eau is also water. So water mirror. So anyway, and so the Icelandic image will be there. There will be images from the mountains, local images.
Yeah.
So it will be water in its different forms. That could be clouds, that could be whatever.
Yeah.
So this is really exciting.
Well, just for people who might be in the area, when is that going to be?
Yes, I mean, it opens on the 16th of September until 2nd of October. So it's just 3 weekends, and we will have a music program and other. Well, we try to attract as many people as possible. You know, it's not far from Montreux. It's not far from Villa. I have been in Villa for 7 years now, so I hope that some of the people will just come and see.
Yes.
It's obviously it's free.
Yeah.
And we'll see.
Yeah. Maybe it's something to consider. You might even see me there.
Well, if you could come, that would be fantastic. I mean, a little trip to Switzerland. I mean,
yes,
why not? It's very close.
Yeah. Well, yes, it's close enough. So, how do you feel the internet changed the art industry? Do you think it was positive or negative, or do you think it can be used to your advantage?
I think that, change is inevitable, and the internet has just made a change how the industry operates. There is nothing really good or bad. It's different. Sure, it made art more accessible to a lot of people, and now there are internet auctions and internet shows. So in some ways, it is fantastic, but I don't think it replaces seeing art in person, because it's only then you sense the energy that comes from the original art. Unless you literally see it yourself, you don't really get it. I don't think so. But it's just we are talking now over the internet, which some years ago we wouldn't have been able to do it. Maybe it's just an addition rather than replacement, and it's not good or bad. It's just different.
No, I just think you can use it to your advantage more than anything else. It's there, and as you say, your audience grows through it as well. Eh? I mean, it's not before you did an exhibition and it was only those people who saw it, but now you put it on the internet and the whole world sees it. So yeah, great.
Exactly.
Yeah, great. So what were your greatest challenges in your career thus far?
Well, challenges. It's I think the inability to travel was a challenge for me over the last 2 years,
Yeah.
because I do rely on being out and about, and I had a trip cancelled, and it was frustrating not being able to do what I wanted to do. It's almost kind of over now, and things are slightly getting back to normal. But it was a challenge. Another thing is it's the size. I like my images to be reproduced large, and so there are financial implications. It's fairly expensive. And secondly, have the place where I can show them. As you just said, I have the internet, I have the website, and you can view it on the internet, but there is something really wow about having it printed, framed on the wall.
Exactly.
But again, in September, with my first exhibition, I think it will be fantastic.
Yeah. I'm actually more convinced that I might be there.
Oh, that would be amazing. It would be amazing.
So as an artist, what is your definition of success?
Well, I think, sure, as an artist, I would like to get the recognition during my lifetime. But it would be fantastic. But, people buying my images, relating to my images, it would give me a pleasure. And as I say, whilst I like taking photographs, I do like physically creating the image, framing it, and that's for me, it's the finished product. And even creating it for someone where I know where it's going to go, that's part of it as well, because it will necessitate certain, I don't know, different paper, different frame, different glass. And I like all of that. So having the clients, having the recognition, people enjoying my art, that will be my definition of success.
Oh, great. Yeah. So where can people see your art? You've already spoken about your website. I will put a link to that on the video. And then also, I mean, your exhibition that's coming up. But are you, for instance, active in social media?
I have an Instagram, but I have a gallery in Gstaad. You know, Gstaad, it's another alpine village, very close to in Canton Bern, next to Villa. And I have, so the gallery sells my photographs there. I also, they are on display in Villa. There is a hotel up on the mountain, and a little cafe. So I kind of changed the images.
I see.
They are really for promotion. Well, we'll see. I haven't. I sell really through a word of mouth.
I see.
But we will see after the interview. As I say, I haven't really used the internet to its full advantage, if I'm really honest. So we will see.
Let's see what happens. Well, Donna, it was a real pleasure talking to you and to find out a little bit about you personally, as well as your creative process and how you go about doing these things. Fascinating, and
Okay.
I really appreciate your time that you took
Thank you.
to
Thank you
speak
for
to
your
us.
time.
No, that is more than a pleasure. And yes, let's see. Maybe I will visit
Oh, please do. That would be amazing.
in the near future. Well, thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you.